Chapter 140. Dwarf Tong Fu. Gui looked at Nye Tien this moment and asked suddenly, "Brother Nye, I have a question that I don't understand. Once we get the Flame of Doom, the number 13 demon fire map will be useless. What is it for?" Nye Tien smiled mysteriously and said, "I have my uses, but I can't tell you." Cut. The old man doesn't know too much. Gui waved his hand with a look of indifference. Nye Tien wanted the demon fire map for his use. Once the Doomsday Flame is found, the magic fire map number 13 will no longer be useful for finding the magic fire. But it is still a magic fire map. Nye Tien wants to study the magic fire map carefully to find out how the magic fire map senses the existence of the magic fire. As long as he understands the induction principle of the magic fire map, Nye Tien can make the magic fire map by himself. At that time, wouldn't he be able to know the existence of all magic fires? However, the magic fire map is the painstaking work of an alchemist in the ancient god realm, and it must be difficult to understand its mystery of it. But Nye Tien likes to do things that are not easy to do. There is a good saying, if you dare not challenge a difficult job, you are not sure about your potential. Ah, Fu! Gui suddenly shouted at this moment. "Brother, I'm here." A muffled voice came from inside the Danshin pavilion, and a very strange figure came out immediately. This figure was only about the height of a 10-year-old child, but he had an unusually thick beard that even covered his entire face. Moreover, his figure was very strong, giving people a feeling of strength all over his body. "Dwarves?" Nye Tien looked at Tong Fu and was surprised. Hee. Tong Fu looked at Nye Tien, laughed loudly, and said, "Little boy, do you have a lot of experience? You know that this uncle is the noblest dwarf warrior." Gui also looked at Nye Tien in surprise. Unexpectedly, Nye Tien knew about the existence of the dwarves. In fact, in this world, in addition to humans, there are also dwarves, elves, orcs, and demons. It's just that these races were lost to humans in the race wars in ancient times, so they declined. Dwarves, elves, orcs, demons, etc. can only be seen occasionally in first-class empires, and have been reduced to human slaves. In a society ruled by humans, their status is very low. Among Nye Tien's 9 personal disciples, one of them was a dwarf warrior, so when he saw Tong Fu, he had an inexplicable feeling of intimacy. Nye Tien smiled and said, "You are also very good. You are less than 100 years old, and you are already at the 9th level of the giant spirit. Although dwarves are much smaller than humans, their bodies are far stronger than humans, and their life expectancy is several times that of humans. A 100-year-old dwarf, if calculated by human age, has just reached adulthood, that is, in his 20s. Therefore, Tong Fu's martial arts aptitude is against the sky, almost comparable to that of Mou or Ruoyu Qianye." Tong Fu was quite surprised. He immediately looked at Gui and said, "Brother, who is this kid? Why does he know my age and my strength? Did you tell him?" Gui shook his head innocently, and he was even more surprised than Tong Fu. Even Gui couldn't tell Tong Fu's age and strength at a glance. Nye Tien was able to do it not because his perception ability was superior to the ancient ones, but because he had a dwarf disciple in his previous life who was familiar with the dwarves. Tong Fu looked at Nye Tien with a strange face and said in a deep voice, "You brat, tell me quickly, how do you know my age and strength?" Nye Tien smiled speechlessly and said truthfully, "I have a friend who is a dwarf, so I am familiar with the dwarves." "Do you have friends from the dwarves?" Tong Fu yelled strangely. A flash of light suddenly flashed in his eyes. He laughed and said, "Is it a man or a woman?" "It must be a woman, right? Can you introduce me to my uncle? Grandpa is handsome, majestic, with lush body hair. She will like it." Nye Tien was speechless for a while. The dwarf was crazy about his wife. "Sorry, my friend is a man." Nye Tien apologized. "A man." Tong Fu was immediately disappointed, but then he thought of something and said excitedly, "A man is fine too." "Men are okay?" Nye Tien trembled, and suddenly felt a chill. But Tong Fu then smiled and said, "He must have sisters and cousins, right? You should bring your friends here quickly." Nye Tien finally came to his senses at this moment, heaved a sigh of relief, and said, "My friend isn't here, so I really can't bring him here. Nye Tien's dwarf disciple is in heaven, how could he come here? And he doesn't have sisters, cousins, but he does have a daughter." Nye Tien still remembered that before he died, the dwarf disciple's daughter was just born, and she should be a little over 100 years old now, so she was a good match for Tong Fu. Thinking of this, Nye Tien was speechless for a while, as if he had thought too far. Tong Fu wanted to say something but was stopped by Gu Yi, who said, "Ah Fu, stop pestering Brother Nye. I said I will find you a wife, and I will do it." "Brother, you must keep your word," Tong Fu said seriously. "Of course." Gu Yi nodded heavily and then said, "Ah Fu, in the next period, I want to do something with Brother Nye, and Danqing Pavilion will be handed over to you. When I'm not around, you can take care of Danqing. The door of the pavilion is closed. Don't get entangled with others when you encounter things, and we will talk about everything when I come back." The ancient Italian language has a long heart, as if an adult leaves home and tells a child to take good care of the house. But judging by Tong Fu's age, he is indeed still a child. And the dwarves all have a characteristic, one tendon, and even 100 black bulls can't pull back what they are sure about. "Brother, are you going out? Take me with you, I will not cause trouble. I promise." Tong Fu was very excited and raised his hands excitedly to promise. But Gu Yi shook his head and said, "Brother Nye and I have important matters to deal with, so we can't take you with us." Tong Fu was not happy now, and shouted in an old-fashioned way, "Brother, please, please take me with you." Nye Tien was speechless as he watched from the sidelines. Although Tong Fu lived to be nearly 100 years old, he was indeed still a child who hadn't grown up. Gu Yi put on a serious face, pretending to be angry, and said, "Ah Fu, don't do this. If you do this again, Big Brother won't find you a wife. This trick is a test." When Tong Fu heard that Gu Yi would not find a wife for him, he immediately let go of Gu Yi's clothes, put his hands behind his back obediently, and said with a smile, "Brother, don't worry. When he is not around, Ah Fu will look after Danqing Pavilion, and guarantee that half of the medicinal materials will not be missing." Gu Yi nodded heavily, waved his hand, and said, "Go." Tong Fu promised, turned, and returned to the inner hall of Danqing Pavilion. Halfway there, he remembered something, suddenly turned to Nye Tien, and said, "Little boy, don't forget to introduce your friend to me." After saying this sentence, Tong Fu went back with peace of mind. Nye Tien looked at Tong Fu's exciting back and was speechless for a while.